Ho ho ho, and deck your halls with these savings. Hello, hello, hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and I may be sick as a dog, but these Steam sale savings for Winter 24 will have you going bark, oink, and meow. That's enough prelude, let's just jump right into this, shall we? I got a job for you, 621. Armored Core is one of my favorite series of all time. I grew up with these games, and Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, is an excellent return to form while taking the series in a new direction. FromSoft just cannot miss. This game is absolutely incredible. It cuts out all kinds of fluff that you see in a lot of modern games, and it's just a bunch of great missions, great customization, and you piloting a giant robot to destroy other giant robots in a typical grim, dark FromSoft world. It's brilliantly designed, brilliantly constructed, memorable boss fights, good mission variety, and a story that is far more compelling than you would think it would be. But again, it's FromSoft. They just don't miss. If the idea of piloting a giant robot is even remotely compelling to you, I full-heartedly recommend Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. It is 40% off for $35.99. South Park: The Stick of Truth is, in my opinion, one of the best video game adaptations of a TV show, let alone a cartoon, ever made. It's brilliant. It takes the humor and charm of South Park, but accompanies all of that with a really satisfying turn-based RPG. It's wild and over the top and raunchy and just what you would want out of South Park, but arguably turned up to 11. I dare not spoil what happens when you go to Canada in this game. It's one of those games that just understands the source material. It understands what made South Park in its heyday so fun and funny and something you could just lose yourself in, and it encapsulates that spirit here with The Stick of Truth. There is a sequel called Fractured Butthole. Yeah, it's South Park, let's be fair here, which has a different combat system. It's more grid-based and strategy-oriented. It's still good. I personally prefer Stick of Truth, though. If you're a fan of JRPGs, you'll love Stick of Truth. It is 90% off for $2.99, or you can get the Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole bundle for 82% off for $10.78. Hi, it's me again. I'm gonna glaze another game with giant robots in it real quick. Hope you don't mind that. Titanfall 2. What an absolute gem of a game that got turbo screwed based on its release date. And it is a crying shame we never actually got a Titanfall 3 and they've just been milking Apex Legends instead. Titanfall 2 is brilliant, and I haven't even touched the multiplayer in it. It's just the main campaign, that story mode, is so dang good. If you are a massive fan of those 2000s to early 2010s era of single-player FPS campaigns, Titanfall 2 is arguably one of the best iterations of that idea. Great mission variety, great mission design, good customization and progression when it comes to getting new Titan forms throughout the campaign, with a surprisingly competent story alongside it, paired with a really great dynamic between your player character and your Titan, B2. I had so much fun streaming this game, and everyone just bearing witness to how good Titanfall 2 is. If you're a fan of giant robots like I am, and you just want a really good FPS game to play right now, Titanfall 2 Ultimate Edition is 90% off for $2.99. And now for something completely different. Firewatch is one of the most charming games I've ever had the pleasure of watching a Let's Play for. It is what many may consider to be a walking simulator, but it's not like the only thing you do in this game is hold down the W key. You play as a guy whose job it is to camp out in a tower in the middle of the Wyoming wilderness, and pretty much report if there's any fires. Sounds simple enough, right? But when you believe yourself to be alone in the woods, things just unravel from there. It's not a long game by any means, but it is a pleasure, with some rather good dialogue and interesting plot twists. If this sounds up your alley, I'd recommend giving it a look. It's 90% off for $1.99. Pretty much all the Persona games are on sale right now, but I'm going to particularly highlight Persona 3 Reload, as I've really grown to love it over the course of this year. Persona is one of my favorite RPG series of all time. It's a brilliant blend between dungeon crawling JRPG goodness alongside social simulator elements, where you take on the role of Makoto. Well, technically you can kind of name him, but his canon name is Makoto. And in the world of Persona 3 Reload, there is this thing called the Dark Hour. Pretty much an extra hour located at midnight that no one else really experiences outside of a select handful of people, you being one of them, and it is your job as a member of SEAS to climb the mysterious Dark Tower of Tartarus that only appears at the dark hour, that being your main dungeon for the game, to uncover why the dark hour exists to begin with, as well as unraveling the grand narrative on display with P3 Reload. It's a great game, filled with amazing characters and an excellent breakdown of the human reaction and perception of death. It is a great game and a great story with one of my favorite cast of characters. Full-heartedly recommend it. Persona 3 Reload is 40% off for $41.99. This game will be the 2024 Game of the Year for a lot of people out there, and it's my co-Game of the Year alongside Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Metaphor Refantazio is by Atlus, the creators of Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, and in my opinion, of all the games from Atlus that I've played, this is their best. This is their magnum opus. This is what it's all led to. This game is brilliant. Amazing pacing, incredible combat, very much inspired by the press turn system from Shin Megami Tensei, but with those social simulator elements from Persona, working with the calendar system, balancing your overworld activities, trying to level up your character, leveling up various royal virtues, progressing various follower storylines, going to various side dungeons, participating in quests, going to the Colosseum. The name of the game is Winning the Throne of Uchronia. This game asks, what does it mean to be a fantasy? It explores that theme, as well as a whole host of others, and has all that Atlus goodness with a beautiful fantasy twist. It's an incredible experience and an incredible game, and the fact that it's already on discount, personally speaking, if you love JRPGs, you love a really big story you can sink your teeth into and that you'll remember for years to come, paired alongside an incredible cast of characters, an absolutely unique soundtrack, but one that is also really good, Metaphor Refantazio is a brilliant experience. The press turn system is rather interesting. Your turn is composed of various turn icons, and you cycle through your party members to use those turn icons however you see fit. And the brilliant part of not only Shin Megami Tensei but also Metaphor is that the enemies are beholden to this system as well. So while the enemies try and screw you out of turn icons, you can screw them out of turn icons by forcing them to miss, repel their attacks, or just do a bunch of attacks and damage yourself. The archetype system is brilliant. It allows you to equip a character with a certain archetype that comes with it various strengths and weaknesses, as well as various abilities that you unlock more the more you level up that archetype. It's just an incredible experience, and it's 25% off for $52.49. Helldivers 2 is a game that needs no introduction. It took over the internet by storm back when it first came out, and after, well, Sony trying to cuck this game, was pretty much what I can call it, with forcing PSN integration, as well as some questionable balancing patches, Helldivers 2, with its latest update bringing in an entire new faction of villains to go against with the Illuminates. Well, the game's back on the map, people. It's a game that knows how to have fun with itself, and is willing to lean into just how comical it can be. Really solid controls, but with a physics engine that allows for absolute hilarity to happen. Not in a bad way or a janky way, in like ways that just make memorable moments, combined with really solid gameplay that is fun. And I would argue, though, this game is best enjoyed co-op, with people on call with you. You can play it by yourself and just party up with random people. You can do that. But I do think a lot of the charm of Helldivers 2 is lost by doing so. So if you have a buddy or two to play alongside with Helldivers 2, fully recommend it. 20% off, $31.99. Okami is one of the most stylized games ever made, and it has a cult following. And while I haven't personally experienced it myself, everyone that I talk to that has played it absolutely loves this game, and it recently just got announced that a sequel's in the works right now. So if you want to go and experience Okami HD for yourself, it is 75% off for $4.99. Become as gods. I know I talk about Nier Automata pretty much every time one of these Steam sales comes along, but it's because I love this game so much. It is my favorite game of all time for very good reason. It is a true, genuine work of art. I have never seen another game utilize the unique attributes and methodologies of storytelling available to it by the very nature of being a video game like Nier Automata. It utilizes the medium to its fullest capabilities to tell one of the most compelling, gripping, and emotional stories I've ever had the pleasure of experiencing in the medium. And you pair that alongside some really fun and customizable combat. The pod customization allows for so many different playstyles, and you can go from being really fast and dashing everywhere to slamming down 2 giant hammers, shooting out giant laser beams, becoming a cloud of sword slashes, shooting missiles, and just having great fun with Nier Automata. It's an amazing game that just unravels the more and more you play, and shows you its brilliance the more you're willing to put into it. You can never overthink Nier Automata enough. It's enjoyable on the surface level, and its true greatness is only appreciated the more you peel back the various layers. This is one of the greatest breakdowns of the human condition paired alongside some absolutely fun Platinum Games gameplay that's just quick, fast-paced hack-and-slash goodness, with an amazing, one of the best soundtracks ever put to the medium. Full-heartedly recommend it, and I also recommend the first game in the series, Nier Replicant. It's a bit more rough around the edges compared to Automata, and I don't think Replicant handles multiple playthroughs as well as Automata. But what Replicant gets right is its characters and its story. One of the best cast of characters I've ever seen, with some of the most well-written dialogue I've ever had the pleasure of hearing and reading. The soundtrack is also goated here, with combat very much in line with Automata's, but with a more magical twist to it all. Both the Nier games are just games where when you play them and when you beat them, you'll just need to go lie down and absorb all the peak that you just experienced. And that word gets overused on the internet so much, but it's justifiably used here. Big, larger-than-life fights paired alongside amazing stories and characters and music and really fun gameplay. Nier Replicant is 60% off for $23.99, and Nier Automata Game of the Yorha Edition is 60% off for $15.99. I had the displeasure of playing Dragon Age Veilguard earlier this year. However, if you want a really good Dragon Age game to sink your teeth into, or just a really good RPG in general, Dragon Age Origins. Woo! This game is something else. One of my favorite things to do back in the day when I was playing Dragon Age Origins was just make a whole bunch of characters, because the introductory experiences that are unique for each of the different races and different origins, even with a unique one for Mage, are just so fun and varied. And seeing it all just come together the more you play Dragon Age Origins, it's just so good. I remember back in the day as a kid playing Dragon Age Origins as a mage and being blown away by how cool the magic was. What an RPG needs to get right, Dragon Age Origins excels in. Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition is 85% off for $4.49. There's a reason Mass Effect is one of the most fabled and beloved gaming franchises of all time, and why people are still willing to get excited for it despite some recent letdowns by BioWare. It's because of the original trilogy, revamped a bit with the Legendary Edition. These games are third-person shooters, but they're also RPGs, and if you're familiar with how BioWare used to conduct themselves in the RPG formula back in the day, with the dialogue wheel, with all the choice available to you, yeah, it's a sci-fi third-person shooter equivalent of all of that. There's a reason BioWare was so beloved, and it's because of games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is 92% off for $4.79. Final Fantasy VII is one of those games that needs no introduction. It is one of the most fabled and storied games in all of gaming, and is a massive reason Final Fantasy became so popular in the West. And with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to PC, we'll get to that, I full-heartedly recommend experiencing the original for yourself, especially on PC where you can mod it. And there's so many cool and extensive mods for FF7. Graphical overhauls, character model overhauls, voice acting, just something to wet your whistle when it comes to the things you can do with Final Fantasy VII on PC. And by itself, it's still one of my favorite games I've ever experienced. and I've replayed it not too long ago, and it still holds up in my opinion. It's an amazing game with a ton of fun side content to explore and experience. That old ATB turn-based system that Final Fantasy became so known for is executed so well here, and combined with how customizable the materia system is in Final Fantasy VII, which allows you to slot in various magical powers and enhancements on each of your characters, depending upon what open slots you have, it makes the game not only replayable, but just fun by itself, and how you can make any character pretty much whatever you want them to be. Final Fantasy VII is available for 60% off for $4.79. So this section is pretty much just the Larian Studio section, because pretty much everything from them is on sale right now, and they're just insane. Baldur's Gate 3, the landslide Game of the Year for 2023, for good reason. It was also my Game of the Year for 2023. I didn't think I would like D&D based combat. Then I played Baldur's Gate 3. I didn't think I would like the style of game BG3 was. Then I played the game. It's beautiful and varied, with so many moments for your decision making and your own cunning to shine through in how you can solve the various problems and scenarios the game throws at you. Filled with amazing characterization, amazing voice acting, beautiful, enchanting, fantasy-based music. It's a brilliant turn-based RPG that utilizes the D&D rule set to bring to life a D&D adventure. It's so well handled and so well executed, with so many moments to allow your creativity to shine through. And you may find yourself just replaying Act 1 over and over and over again with various characters just because you want to experience different choices or try different builds and try different things. And there's so much to explore. Every time I thought I had explored everything in Act 1, I found something new. And co-op in these games is insanely good. You would think a massively story-driven RPG would not be conducive to a co-op experience, but it is, because the game allows you to go off and do your own thing during story moments that someone else that you're playing with may be experiencing if you so wish. You never feel like your party member is like tying you down. You can go off, do your own thing, come back together if that's how you want to play. It allows you to play the game and interface with it however you want, and it's brilliant because of that. And Baldur's Gate 3 isn't the only game Larian has, as the 3 might indicate. It has other brilliant RPGs on sale right now, like Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2. Now, I've only played a bit of Divinity Original Sin 1, and to my understanding, that game doesn't utilize D&D rule set, but if you like how Baldur's Gate 3 plays, you'll probably like Divinity Original Sin. Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition is 90% off for $3.99. Divinity Original Sin 2 is available for 79% off for $12.23, and Baldur's Gate 3 is available for 20% off for $47.99. These are just a few of the amazing games available on discount right now with the Steam Winter Sale. It goes until January 2nd, but these are the games I would recommend keeping a massive eye out for this winter sale. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below with what you have picked up during the winter sale or what you are eyeing to pick up, and any other sales and discounts you would recommend. Leave them in the comments down below. Thank you all for tuning in. Please leave a like and subscribe if you liked the video and you want to see more content. I know I would appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again.